Antifa vows a 10-day siege of El Paso. Just days later, a multiple shooting occurs in the city. Is this person related to Antifa, or is this a false flag designed to smear the right? That's what we'll be discussing today on the podcast. Okay, free thinkers, I must start by saying that the events in El Paso are still unfolding and are currently open to much conjecture. That being said, alternative media sources, and I'd just like to say that I trust them more in one day than I'd ever trust the mainstream media in a lifetime, who, by the way, have been shown to be and proven to be carrying water for the radical left on numerous occasions. Now, the alternative media have spoken of Antifa's documented plans for carrying out what they call a 10-day siege of El Paso, in order to protest the very concept of a border wall, capitalism, and even the nation state itself. Now, Andy No, I'm sure you'll remember him. He's the alternative media journalist who has covered numerous left-wing protests, gatherings and activities, who I'm led to believe is somewhere on the left-wing spectrum of politics himself, which is okay, that's fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Now, he was attacked and hospitalised a couple of months ago by Antifa for his filming of one of their protests. And he was hospitalised and had to actually have a brain scan and part of his ear reattached. Now, his Twitter feed has a take on what has happened in El Paso, and it is as follows, and I'm quoting him here. Antifa is leading a border resistance militancy training tour that will converge on a 10-day siege of El Paso, Texas. The promotional image shows border enforcement officers being killed and government property firebombed. Organisers asking for white comrades to pay for others. And that's the end of his quote. This tweet comes with an image which you can see on the image slide, which should be going past you at the moment. And this shows that Antifa are on record for actually going to El Paso. We know that we know for certain that they were intending to go to El Paso and intending to go soon. However, and this is a strong however, by the way, the date that they set for their 10-day siege was the 1st of September, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you that it's not the 1st of September yet. Of course, that being said in itself, we know that the far left have a proven track record for lying and smearing and dirty tactics and cheating and intolerance and anti-white hatred and political violence in general. And it's a given that their members represent some of the most brainwashed citizens of any Western nation you can think of. So, free thinkers, what do we know about the shooter? We know that his name is Patrick Crasius and he's 21 and he's actually from Texas himself, and he's alleged to have killed up to 15 people in a Wal-Mart in El Paso. Now, you should never judge a book by its cover, of course, I understand that. The mainstream media are, of course, putting out story after story of an alleged right-wing manifesto that's been found somewhere, I believe at his house or at the scene. Sources differ as to where apparently this was found, but we haven't actually seen it yet. There's been no proof of this manifesto itself. There's just words and conjecture at the moment. Now, in my opinion, looks of course can be deceiving and there are always exceptions, but this man certainly doesn't look like any right-winger I've known or met, but he does, however, look like and fit the bill perfectly of a shunned and desperate and bitter left-winger who is incredibly angry that he has spent his entire sexually active years as an incel. Now, the business as usual, socialist-backed and Marxist-backed mainstream media of the cable variety have, of course, pegged him as a white, fill in the blanks, you know the labels they put round your neck, put round anyone who disagrees with them. They're desperate to keep this narrative going. Whenever a person of light skin tone commits a crime of this nature, multiple shootings, etc., etc., the narrative is always guns are bad, it's the guns' fault, white is bad, white man bad, and of course orange man bad. Antifa, the far-left paramilitary organisation. Now, what do we know about Antifa that would make us believe that in this case this is yet another false flag, and that this man is definitely not a right-winger, Trump supporter, right-winger, whatever you want to call him? Now, Antifa have gone on record as they want to overthrow Western society. We know that. The far left despises the free world and the order of Western society. They've been brainwashed into believing that a borderless, lawless world is actually preferable to order. We know that they are very bigoted towards the white community. There are thousands of very high quality video footage taken on devices, handheld devices, that demonstrate far left bigotry and anti-Semitism. It is beyond doubt. It is beyond that. That is not conjecture. It is beyond doubt. You can do some research yourself to find out if you would like. They support socialism and Marxism. The attack was carried out in a Wal-Mart, which is a capitalist super company. It is as American as McDonald's. You know, this wasn't carried out anywhere on public property. This was a capitalist private enterprise that was attacked. Okay, they're known for being exceptionally aggressive. That they have a belief that this is a strange one. This is something about the far left that I always find perplexing, and there is a lot about the left I find perplexing. But they believe that other people's free speech is violence to them, so therefore they can attack you, and they will justify it on the grounds that, in their minds, it's self-defense. It's strange. It's strange logic, but then again, the left doesn't exactly operate on logic. Now, you have to admit that Antifa have, over the last 10 years, adopted a paramilitary style tactics. Their stance, their overall bearing has become very paramilitary-like over the last 10 years. That, of course, the majority of them are still college, university, middle class, white gimps and incels. We know that. But now they are gimps and incels armed with assault rifles. The very assault rifles they want to take away from you. Now, we also know that they are very highly susceptible to manipulation and brainwashing, and they react very emotionally as opposed to rational thought. The right are people like us on the right. We tend to act on with rational thought. We go with the evidence. We question things. We don't just act immediately on impulse and on emotion. And an impulse is just a highly reactionary, emotional reaction. And we know that, for example, this attack, mass shootings are very emotional things. You could argue that they're thought out. Of course they're thought out, but thinking something out doesn't necessarily mean it's rational. You can think something out, and what you thought out can still be an entirely an irrational thing to do. The attack in El Paso was a highly emotional thing, and the emotional thing that was driving the attacker was hate. His hate for capitalism. His hate for the United States. His hate for the President of the United States. His desire for a world without borders, for socialism, for Marxism. All these things together personally make me believe that this man is, as a lot of people are suggesting, a far left Antifa member. And the attack in itself is, in my opinion, a false flag. Now, I'm going to leave you with one last thing, a very interesting article that I would like to show you, and here it is. This is an article from the National Interest, and in it explains how, interestingly enough, the Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has told Antifa to stay out of Texas. And this is in the wake of the El Paso tragedy. Now, we've known for at least since July that Antifa have been planning on attending El Paso to do, and I'm quoting, military training exercises. Now, if that in itself doesn't tell you all you need to know about these people, these aren't benign protesters with placards. That might have been 10 years ago, okay? Antifa are now a domestic terrorist threat. You're entitled to argue against it, but the facts speak for themselves. These people are extremely violent. They are now armed. In the case of the United States, they're armed. Here in the United Kingdom, they have to make do with poxy milkshakes. But you know, in general, Antifa are much more organised now than they were 10 years ago. They have stated their intentions to come to El Paso. There is no proof that Mr. Crasius, the monster that carried out this attack, is a right-winger. We don't know that yet. It's open to conjecture. Everything at the moment seems to be pointing towards him being a left-wing activist, and all he's doing is exactly what Antifa have said they're going to do. Okay, this attack follows exactly what Antifa have stated they want to do. They want to sow terror. They want to commit acts of violence. They want to bring down capitalism. Okay? I very much doubt the people that they attacked are people who belong to any particular victim group on the victimhood hierarchy or the victimhood Olympics. I should imagine the people who were the victims in this tragedy are pretty low down on the victimhood hierarchy. I'm sure you can understand what I mean by that. Anyway, I'm sure a lot more is going to come out in the next few days. As you should be able to see on your screen now, classic Antifa pose with a member in classic pose. The idiot's got some goggles on, the type of things you'd wear underwater. This just goes to show you the top of the fools these people are. Okay, do these people look peaceful to you? Do they look like peaceful protesters to you? I would love to know what you think about this, whether you think it's a false flag or whether you think maybe he was a right winger. I don't know. I'm open to all opinions. If you haven't yet, please subscribe if you enjoy my take on things. If you don't, you don't. But if you do, please subscribe, and it would be great if you could leave a comment and like the video, because that will help my channel to grow, which is what I intend to happen. Thank you for your time. I know your time is precious. That's why I try to keep all of my videos under 10 minutes. So I will leave it there. Thank you and goodbye.